Okay, so today I'm going to be doing a list of characters that I'm not particularly fond of. This isn't necessarily a hate list. I don't have a lot of characters that I just outright despise, and usually if I do, I've already ranted about them. So anyway, this is just gonna be, so what I did with this video, let me explain it a little bit. I've put some restrictions on it. This is gonna be a list of characters that I don't like, but I'm not going to talk about villains because you're supposed to not like them. And I'm not going to talk about anybody that I already have a rant video dedicated to, because then we're just repeating ourselves. So this is going to be a list of characters that you maybe haven't heard me rant about much, or at least not recently, and why I don't like them. Also, this video is going to contain spoilers. If you see a character or a book mentioned that you don't want to hear anything about, check the description for timestamps to jump around. Okay, on to some characters that casually deserve some hate. Selena Sardothian. Ma'am, you're an assassin. Did you know it? I don't think you do. I think I read the first 3 Throne of Glass books before I quit, and oh my goodness, this character in the first book, she's in an assassin competition where it's a bunch of killers come together to compete. And so she's with a bunch of murderers and she knows it. So not only is she very annoying to have as a main character because she's so in her head in the worst way. She's one of those all talk characters where it's like she walks into a room and she thinks about all the people that she could kill and how she could kill them and then get out of the room really fast and win the day, but she never does anything. She just is constantly thinking about how incredible of an assassin she is, but we just don't see her skill. So not only is she really annoying to be in the head of because she's all talk, but, and I'm sure she displays some pretty cool abilities later on, but honestly, oh my goodness, it would have been cool to see something before we got told a million times how great she was. But then from there, not only that, but she's so dumb. Like, she's in this competition with trained and skilled killers, and the whole plot of the book, there's someone picking them off in gruesome ways. And this dummy goes to her room, sees a mysterious bag of chocolates by her bedside, and thinks, I should definitely eat those. And she does! We have Rishi from When Dimple Met Rishi, which I have a Goodreads rant on, but not a video rant. Rishi is a character that I was so excited to hang out with her because she was really interesting at first. Her family dynamic, I loved learning more about her culture, about her background, and then her dreams. I can't remember, I read this book quite a while ago. Her dreams to be some sort of programmer, and so she goes off to this school where she's supposed to learn about programming, and she's supposed to be able to have the opportunity to win opportunities within this field that's very difficult for her to get a leg up in. So I was really excited to see this really smart, really driven girl go win the world over. Instead, I got a really bad romance. She drops her dreams halfway through the book when she meets a cute boy and completely forgets about why she's here and what she's going after, and instead just gets involved in this dumb dance competition so that she can hang out with her new boy. And she has no idea what consent means. She crossed so many lines. Check out my Goodreads review if you want more spoilers on that, because oh my goodness, do I not like this woman. Oh, she also did that trope. That I've decided we should break up, but it's for your own good. But I'm afraid that you won't let me break up with you, so I'm going to not just break up with you, I'm going to decimate you. I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to say the most horrible things to you so that I can break you down, say things that will haunt you for years and years and years to come, so that I can make you feel like the worst human in the world, so that you will hate me, so that you will accept our breakup. I despise that trope so much. She did so many things I hated. The Upside of Unrequited. I'm not a massive fan of love triangles. I can not hate them, but I did hate this one. Our main character, Molly, I'm pretty sure was her name. I appreciated her because she had a lot of spiraling thoughts, which when I'm really caught up in my anxiety, I have a lot of spiraling thoughts. And being inside of her head was half relatable, but Molly was so in her head and so caught up in being worried about what other people think of her that she got caught up in this ridiculous love triangle that was so unnecessary for the story. And that it was so stupid because she didn't even like one of the guys. She just was participating in this part of the love triangle so that because she was just participating in it because she thought maybe someone else in her life might want her to be in this relationship. She's not going to ask that person. She's not going to communicate that. She's just going to make an assumption. Maybe my sister might possibly like me to be in this relationship. So I'm going to go for it, even though I don't want to. Like, she was that in her head that she couldn't move an inch without being so concerned about what other people maybe might possibly think about it without ever communicating with anyone. And because of this, she ended up hurting people's feelings. She ended up in really unnecessary drama. It was a book full of unnecessary things because she was so caught up in her head, which again, I do relate to because I get really caught up in my head when I'm really struggling with my anxiety. But ooh, I did not like the way it was done here because it was so frustrating to read. I want to move on to some petty frustrations that it doesn't really fit in this video, so feel free to skip because it's about a game. It's not even about books, but I need to vent for a second because Yuri from Doki Doki Literature Club is the most annoying person in the world. If you just skip this part, unless you happen to enjoy this game too. Yuri, she makes me ashamed to be a book nerd. She's so pretentious. Every time she opens her mouth, I want her to stop. Everything she says is just so over the top and oh. She goes on and on and on about what she likes in books, but she says it all in the most pretentious way possible, and I just can't with her. When I first got to her in the game, I was like, oh, a book nerd, this is fun. 2 seconds later, I wanted her to leave the room so bad. I won't spoil what happens, but okay, I'll say this. I played the game 3 times through, and one of the times I played with a bunch of friends, and we each took a character and we would voice them, and we played it together and read everything out loud, and I got to be Natsuki because I love Natsuki. And I steered my friends away from any avenue involving Yuri because I can't deal. I think my level of frustration toward this character is completely unreasonable, and I don't even understand it, but I hate her so much. Future Murphy here to interrupt myself because I have some more characters to hate because I'm currently playing Trigger Happy Havoc Danganronpa. Danganronpa. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm currently playing that game, and Haifumi and Toko, which I also don't know if I'm saying these names correctly, are just as bad as Yuri. Maybe not just as bad. Why? Why do I get into these games that I really love, but the literary characters drive me up the wall? They make me embarrassed to be such a dedicated reader. I'm not like this, am I? I like to think that you could have a passion and a love for reading without coming off so this, but I have more. Tuon from the Wheel of Time. Look, I don't know if I'm supposed to like Tuon or not. I really hope I'm not, but I'm certainly not supposed to. Actually, I don't know. Maybe I am. I don't think I'm supposed to dislike her to the level that I do. Tuon is an unabashed and unashamed slaver. Not only that, but spoilers, timestamps in the description to skip around. I'll give you a second. Not only that, but the scene in one of the later books, I get them mixed up at this point, maybe it's book 11 or 12, where she's having this conversation with Rand, with Matt standing right there, and Rand is asking her, it's been a minute so the details are a little bit fuzzy, he's asking her to help him, and her answer is, let me keep my slaves or I'm not helping you. You choose it, death, or I get to keep my slaves. It's on your shoulders. And she, the way she is in that whole scene made me switch. I mean, I already didn't really like her, but made me switch from, I mean, when I first met her, I thought, hey, she and Matt are cute together. Then I got to know her a little bit, like her a little bit less. And then this scene pushed me over the edge to, you are horrible. And I know a lot of the fandom defends her and says it's a cultural thing. She's deceived by her culture. She's influenced by her culture. I don't care. You can make whatever kind of excuse you want. She's a terrible person and I don't like her. And also, Matt, honey, boo, you were there the whole time and I watched you. You didn't seem fazed at all by her actions, and you also, after that scene, didn't seem to view her any differently after you realized that she was a terrible person who would let the world be destroyed before she would before she would free her slaves. And I look at you differently because of that too. Gonna get some hate for that. I've got your number, the main character, I can't remember her name now. She's not a big deal. It's not a huge deal. Actually, almost all of Sophie Kinsella's main characters that I've read, I really haven't read a ton of her books, but of the books of hers that I've read, almost all of her main characters are kind of the same in that they're very in their heads. They're very intensely in their own heads and have this kind of, spiraling thoughts isn't right, because I have spiraling thoughts. What am I trying to say? I'll just talk about this one character. She has a tendency to be very, very pushy, to not really care about how she's affecting the people around her, just so long as she gets her phone, just so long as she gets what she wants. And then she's like, you're just gonna have to deal with my actions, and I'm gonna step out of line, and I'm gonna do things that could potentially affect your career just because I feel like it, and I'm an impulsive lady. And you just have to deal. And I did end up liking this book a lot, and I don't even mind this main character so much, but also I don't like her. So I guess I don't make any sense right now. But this main character, I guess she was entertaining enough to read in a standalone book, but I wouldn't want her in my life because she's very inconsiderate of the people around her in an oblivious, flighty sort of way that it was still a cute book. I still enjoyed myself quite a bit, but also, ma'am, I don't want to be a friend. Oh, I'm gonna make more people mad. Okay, so also Rochester from Jane Eyre. Oh my goodness, more spoilers, jump ahead. Please use the timestamps in the description if you haven't read it or you don't already know the spoilers. But Sir was not polite to my Lady Jane. And I have gotten used to the reality that in classics, the dynamics between love interests are different from what I would expect in modern day, right? You know, the men were a little bit more up their own self and looked down on the women a bit and thought that they were, you know, you sweet creature, just let me handle it, right? That's, you know, I've gotten used to it. Rochester took it a little bit further and really looked down on her and insulted her often. And then we find out that he was trying to lie and manipulate her into a marriage agreement that she didn't fully agree to. Yes, she wanted to marry him, but he lied to her about the situation she was getting into. He had a wife in his attic that he didn't tell her about, that he was hiding from her. And yeah, there were circumstances wrapped up around it, but it doesn't matter because he still tried to manipulate her into a marriage that she didn't fully agree to. She didn't understand the circumstances that she was getting into. She didn't understand what she was agreeing to. He lied. He kept information from her. And he even said, I believe, if I'm remembering this correctly, that he chose not to tell her because he knew that she wouldn't accept his marriage proposal if she knew the circumstances that she was agreeing to. So he kept those circumstances from her so that she would agree to the marriage and then be trapped, and then he'd let her in on what the rest of her life was going to look like. And she agreed, yeah, I definitely wouldn't agree to this. Bye. And then she leaves. And good on her for leaving. But then they end up together because his circumstances changed. And and the circumstances didn't even change because he got out of them. They changed because there was a fire and there was a death. So Rochester was not a cool guy. I don't forgive him. I mean, the way he spoke to her and the way he treated her, I didn't like, but I don't forgive him for trying to manipulate her and lie to her into a marriage and trap her into a marriage that he knew that she wouldn't agree to if he told her. He made the choice to withhold information from her to try to force her into something that she didn't want. That is like the worst move. How can we consider him a good love interest? I don't understand. I mean, I do understand that I want Jane to be happy because I love her character. She's a fantastic character. She's one of the best characters. And she doesn't deserve, I mean, she deserves better than literally everybody that came into her life in that book, including Rochester. I'm happy that she's happy in the end, but she deserves so much better than him. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Back to Past Murphy. Okay, let's talk about, I don't even know her name. Hang on. Misa? I've only read the manga, so I don't actually know how to pronounce her name. I don't dislike her as much as I dislike the way she was written. This character had so much potential. She was so obsessive and manipulative and could have potentially been such a cool character to introduce to Light's dynamic, how she could have manipulated him and how she could have cornered him in certain things and forced him to let her join. I just was really excited about her character when she was introduced and so disappointed at her wasted potential. She ended up just being the cute girl that's a little bit crazy and nothing more. She could have been removed from the story completely and the story wouldn't have changed, but the potential of what her character was could have changed, could have shifted the story in such a cool way. So I don't dislike her as a character. I dislike her for her missed potential in this series. And I think I'm gonna end this video on another old hatred. Hatred is too strong for this one. Another old, I don't get it. And that's gonna be Mr. William Herondale. So I read like 9 of these books because when I first started BookTube, this is what everybody was talking about and I didn't care for them. But people kept saying, just get to the Infernal Devices. And so I read all 6 books before the Infernal Devices. And then I read the Infernal Devices. And then I died. So Will Herondale. First of all, why? Oh, I don't, okay, just talk, just use your words. Will and Tessa have this insta-love dynamic about them that I don't care for. He's hot, so she loves him. He's not nice to her. He's a jerk to her. She's already in love with him when they've barely spent any time together. And what time they've spent together, he's not nice. He has a few moments of kindness in the series, but they're few and far between. And they're usurped by the level of jerkity jerk. Now, don't get me wrong, this was one of the few characters where his tragic backstory actually did make me forgive him some. Most of the time when we have a bad boy, what we actually have, oh my gosh, I'm getting too mean. Most of the time when we have a bad boy, what we really have is a horrible person who treats our protagonist terribly. And then we get the tragic backstory and we're supposed to forgive. But what we have here is a backstory that actually makes things make sense, and the level of bad that he was is enough for me to say, okay, this evens out a little bit. So what bothers me about Will isn't so much that he's the bad boy, which is just a trope I don't care for, but it's not just that, it's the fact that Tessa loved him. Why'd you do it? Okay, tell me one good quality about him before you fell in love. He's a book nerd. Tell me one more. He's nice to her so few times. It doesn't make sense for her to just be fine with all the other times. Not only that, he's just not that interesting of a character. I just think he's pretty boring. It's so funny because people kept saying just get to Clockwork Princess because then you'll love it all because it's the best book in the whole wide world. I gave that book 2 stars. I do not understand the love triangle in this book. I liked Jem. I thought he was nice. Call me a weirdo. I like the nice ones. I actually planned on this video being quite chill, so I failed. I'm gonna leave it there. These are some characters that I dislike an unreasonable amount, for the most part. Some of them I think that they very much earned it. But some of them, it's like my level of frustration doesn't quite match. I don't know. But anyway, there's a list of some characters that I personally do not like that I don't think I was supposed to not like. I would love to hear your list of characters that you dislike a disproportionate amount. It doesn't make sense that you dislike them this much. Or you think it totally makes sense, but you seem to be the only one that thinks that way. But that's my list. Be sure to chat with me more in the comments. I post videos every Tuesday through Friday. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.